having the evidence or knowing, truly knowing what you were put here to do, your mission in life, is now time to use some kujichagulia. Kujichagulia in the Kiswahili language means self-determination. You cannot challenge it or take you so far. I know some of y'all saw the Mayweather fight last night. You did? And, no, I mean, I'm not going to talk about what transpired at the end, though. But I'm saying, though, with Mayweather, he's one of the most talented cats in the game. He's got skill, he's got talent, but if you look at his work ethic, he goes beyond what he's supposed to do. When you look at his work ethic, he goes the extra mile in his training. He's got the talent to carry him a long way, but in order to be great, in order to really say that we are connected to those pyramid builders without saying a word, we got to be willing to do things that other people won't do. When someone slams a door in your face, you got to know how to go through the window. It's called having perseverance, not being deterred, not being discouraged. You might be despondent, but you're going to continue to stay on the course. You're going to continue to stay on the path. You're not going to give an inch. You're not going to give up. You're going to live full. But once you become an ancestor, you die empty, and you become even stronger as an ancestor because your legacy will live on. Maximizing. So we got identifying with who you are, having evidence of what you was put on earth to do. And it's more water. And we got be relentless, release your mission in life, and then you must maximize it, meaning duplicate yourself, meaning replicate yourself, so that way you'll be able to leave a trace, not just for 7 generations, not just for thousands of years, but for eternity. That's how you pass down legacy after legacy after legacy. But first you got to be honest with yourself and figure out what your contract in this dispensation of living is. You did. Now, don't tell me. Oh, I got this. Evidence of the call to the spiritual orders of the priesthood. We can equate this also with ministry. What is your ministry? Well, some people have ministry in the church. Some people have ministries in the mosque. Some people have ministries in revolution. But the greatest minister or priest or anybody who's holding a leadership position is to be the greatest servant. Now, in this society, they teach us that being a leader starts from the top down. But really, if you study the likes of Shaka Zulu and the General Hannibal Barton, our ancestors, people who we are descendants of, they had to start from the bottom up. You cannot be a general without first becoming a foot soldier. You got to, and being a leader or a minister is not just telling people what to do. I think the greatest quality of being a leader is being a great listener. Hearing the people, listen to the people, and actually, if you're a leader, you'll make sure your people are taken care of, even if it's at your expense. Even if you got to starve a little bit, make sure your kingdom, the kings move. Let his people eat first, and he eats last. Let his soldiers eat first, and he eats last. That's how you build camaraderie. That's how you build trust, and that's how you build leadership. It's a difference from having leaders as opposed to having leadership, having just ministers as opposed to having ministry. Once you're going to be a servant, your job is to teach those how to serve themselves. It's about having collective leadership. So that way, once again, once you become an ancestor, the organization, the Crash Unity Center, whatever organization you're a part of, it lives on. It's about having collective leadership. This one Messiah thing must go out the window. You can't just have one Messiah. One Messiah is not going to save you. We live for all these other outside vices to save us. Yahshua to save us. Allah to save us. And even the enemy to save us. But we don't want to dig deep and go within ourselves to find the solution and incorporate all those with the deception of the enemy and save ourselves. That's what makes leaders. That's what makes leaders as opposed to followers. And also, leaders don't get rattled when it's trying times. You did. You got to be able to have confidence. Confidence or lack thereof can destroy or make leadership. You got to have confidence. Now, what I'm saying about confidence, I'm not talking about gloating or bragging. I'm talking about having assurance, knowing, not just believing, that everything's going to turn out for the best. Knowing, not just believing, that everything's going to turn out for the greater good. Yes, you might have setbacks. Yes, you might have falls, but if you're able to have strong leadership and follow the 10 virtues of eternal happiness, You will be able to turn your setback into a comeback and come back with strong tenacity. You did. So leadership, ministry. What's the next? Freedom from resentment. Freedom from resentment when under persecution and wrong. And he equates that with anybody else? Who said it? Reverend? Courage. Yeah, y'all be reading there like pioneers, y'all know that? It's courage. Now, resentment, yes, sometimes we gotta have thick skin, you got people that try to assassinate your character. Look at the fight last night for those who saw it, You see who character trying to get assassinated by who, So sometimes you gotta have thick skin. And sometimes you might not want to have thick skin. Sometimes you want to take it up with that person that's trying to slander you. But it takes courage. First of all, courage is just working through your fears, And I do believe we all have fears, whether you want to admit to it or not. We all have fears. And the key is to work through them. That's why it's good to be involved in certain things, not just going back in control of thought and going back in control of action. You just can't think something's going to happen, and you can't want something to happen in your mind. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. You got to put forth the work and put forth the effort. So it's about having courage and being bold and being able to weather the storms. This invincibility thing going on, Bruce Lee, Imhotep, they all had setbacks. They all had to have courage. I'm pretty sure it's times that they thought, that this pyramid thing ain't really going right for me. The rock ain't right. Something ain't right. The stars, something ain't right. But they dug deep. They dug deep into their DNA. And they tapped into their unter ability within. And they reached their highest self. Reason they did that was because they had the courage to do things that other people would not do. Courage is, once again, working through your fears. What's the acronym for fear? What? False evidence, fear, real? Yes, it's fake. Delusion. What's in your mind? Once you kill that fear in your mind, you have won half the battle. So having courage is moving. Once again, not putting your head down like an ostrich. Courage is not just becoming timid. Courage is about using vigilance. Courage is about standing tall. And standing tall and standing upright. And if you're able to stand tall and be able to look death in his face, and be able to look death in his face, but don't run away from it, but leap in death's chest and snatch death's tongue out of his mouth and rebuke the grave. That's what courage is. You'll stand tall and they'll bury your casket standing up because you didn't lay down. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. I like that one, huh? Let's make that up. Nah. Khalil looked out for me on that, Khalil Muhammad. That's one of my favorite speakers, As you can tell, I listen to Khalil Muhammad, Locke, Bobby Ray, Melody Ishii Kelly, Dale Jones, and I incorporate all of them into my own personal style. If you look at it, all my Jagners right here with Session Kumasi, I have a little bit of all of them in me. If you really listen to me speak, the passion of Kumasi, the practical spirituality of KB, the conscious of Bobby Ray, the education of Masomi, researchability of Akeem, the keeping it real of Brother Kenneth, the cream of the mouth telling like it is, so I got all of them. Which brings me to my next point. Might as well talk about master teachers, huh? Confidence in the master, power of master as teachers. Alright, when we talk about master teachers, first and foremost, you will find an educator or a master teacher in any situation and anybody. We're not looking for stars or those who carry an educational position, PhDs, y'all know, terminology. We're talking the most practical, the most conscious African is one who will learn from anybody. You never stop learning, as Baba Masomi is fond of saying, because once again, a conscious African knows they will not know everything there is to know in this realm of living, but a conscious true African will never stop seeking, never stop trying, never stop attempting to find all there is to know about not just our history, but everything we can learn. You dig what I'm saying? Now, a master teacher can be in a situation, a master teacher can be in a homeless person, and once again, everybody has a master teacher within themselves. Going back to the elders, I know we have a lot of people that talk about snatching the torch from the elders. Now, you got some elders that don't mind you doing that, and I don't mind snatching it. But it's not just about snatching the torch from the elders, and it's also not just about the elders bear hugging the torch because they don't have no trust in the generation. It's about them getting part of the torch, we get a fire torch and we walk them together. I'm using their energy, their enthusiasm, their will, and the elders using their counsel, using their guidance, using their wisdom. Education is taken out. It's not necessarily put in, it's taken out. But you might need elders, like a Reverend Mary Kyra, a Grandmaster teacher like a Bob Katie, to be able to facilitate and guide you in the right direction. It's called returning back to the African village. It's called reestablishing African customs. And once you're able to find your master teachers, pluralize, teachers, then you'll be able to find a master teacher within yourself. Because we all got a master teacher within ourselves. How many seen Last Dragon? Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee, right? Yeah. And sure enough, peace be unto his name. His sensei, if you remember the part, the sensei told him to go find the master sensei. And he was going all over Harlem. He went all over, found some sister, singer sister, and he left his belt buckle. And he was like, oh my, he almost went into a super panic mode, so he got the belt buckle. And then he's looking for this master, this mystery master. And what he find out, some Orientals had what? Fortune cookie. But everything was. So, but his master, when he came back, he came to the master. His sensei was like, how can you do this to me? Why you didn't tell me to send me on a goose chase? But he looked in Harlem. He looked in the studio where the girl was singing that. He looked all over the place, but the place he didn't look was in the mirror. And it took him, when showing up, was drawing him to realize that, I'm the master. So I'm telling all of us, we have a master in all of us, and don't wait till you're about to drown before you realize you're about to be a master. Go home, look in the mirror, find your master, and if you can't find your master, you don't have one. Or leave the mirror and come back till you see that master. You dig what I'm saying? So we all become master teachers under one. You dig? And then you got to master yourself. That's what I'm talking about. All right, now, wait a minute. Confidence in the ability to learn. I pretty much said that. Always constantly learning. Okay, I can go a step further. We got to learn how to get out of our comfort zone. Oh, this is a good one. Got to get out of our comfort zone. Too many times we get stagnant. We don't want people to see our shortcomings. But, just because you're just going to right the first time, it could be luck. You dig? Just because boxing, I'll box for a minute, so I like to work boxing. You might be like Mike Tyson, knocking fools out. One hit a quitter. Post-quarter knuckle drilling. You dig what I'm saying? But it's going to come that one person where you're going to have to be able to fight. You're going to have to do something you might not be able to do. That's called what we call being willing to adapt. If you do not adapt to change, you dead. If you not adapt to things that's going to evolve or devolve and be able to not just to become part of something of negative nature, but be able to handle things like I talked about the first virtue control thought. When it doesn't happen, be able to handle things when it's unexpected. You dig what I'm saying? You be out of your comfort zone and be more well-rounded. I know we have some speakers, and I ain't dissing Star Wars Shooting Steady. I personally like the brother, but if you're going to cuss, if you're a real speaker, a real lyricist, you got to be versatile. You can't be one-dimensional. Now, I have a problem with cussing. I don't cuss actually, y'all know, when I first started speaking, I was a fire-breathing dragon until Baba Katie checked me, till my mama checked me, till Big Brother Mark checked me, till everybody checked me. Like, we have beautiful style language. I'm just saying you become more well-rounded and not one-dimensional. That's going to take you to get outside your comfort zone and do different things. Explore different challenges. Don't be afraid to evolve. Don't be afraid to try new things. And if you get knocked down in the rain, I never got knocked down, but I got shocked and it hurt though, you know what I'm saying? You'll be able to, come back and look at the next time. That's what confidence is. You know what I'm saying? Having confidence, being able to endure, being able to pretty much fall short, but still not be able to lose what they call the swagger or the supreme style. Now, if a basketball player was to have a bad game, a real basketball player, is he going to stop playing basketball? No. He's going to go back home, tighten up his skills, tighten up his gifts, tighten up his game, and come back and lick it the next time. So don't be afraid to learn. We all learning. Nobody has all the answers because nobody's going to ask all the questions. We all